Saturn. Greetings, I'm Solidus-Skully, and I'm just gonna keep talking before I lose my flow, and we'll end up having to scrap this commentary because I am very self-conscious when it comes to recording alone or with people around. Whatever, it's time for another fun-filled adventure in commentary land in 2022. Well, at least as far as you're concerned anyway, but what is this? Sense a split second. Anime. Treasure the life. As you can no doubt tell with the "have got us on your wings." Wow, I never could have noticed this before, but yeah, these are some very Englishy translations. But yes, this is Burning Ranges for the SEGA Saturn. Emulated, obviously, because I do not own a SEGA Saturn, and as much as I would love to have one, yeah, bit fucking expensive, especially a copy of Burning Ranges in, well, the PAL regions, and presumably for the, NTSC regions as well, because this game is an expensive beast. So, yeah, fuck it, we're gonna be emulating. Now, you might be wondering, Mr. Solidus-Skully, you sexy hunk of man-ass, didn't you just do a review on this game and therefore have very little to say that we couldn't already get in a condensed 40-minute video? Well, the answer to that, you, questionable bitch, is, well, I like this game, so I'm gonna be commentating over it. As well as giving everybody a bit more of a taste of everything that the game has to offer. Again, you're getting a bit more of a taste of the cutscenes, I'll let you get a little bit more immersed in the story compared to my condensing. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. By the way, get used to the anime cutscene having as, like, much visual style here, because for the rest of it, it's pretty much just gonna be a lip flap. Rather unfortunately, to be honest, because, again, I really love the style that Burning Ranges has. But we'll get into all of that a little bit later. So, let's start the game!
Okay, are you ready? I'm going to take you through the basics. Mastering these techniques are critical to becoming a ranger. I'm Chris Parton, the leader of the Burning Rangers, and your navigator for this exercise.
Chris always monitors our situation and provides us with updates. Make sure you listen to her carefully, because it may save your life.
Ordinarily, I would be skipping these training sequences, I mean, mainly because they're pretty much doing my job for me and explaining the game mechanics. But you know what, I figured that since this is, well, Tillis' first day on the job, and similarly for Sho if you're deciding to play as him, yeah, I figured I'd leave this in since, again, it does introduce the team to each other, you know, gives you a general feel for how things handle, and again, gives you a basic showcase of the controls. And, also, well, a very brief look into the Burning Ranges headquarters, because this seems to have a very similar sort of, like, what was that place in the X-Men? Like the Danger Room, I think it was called, or like some sort of fucking holodeck shit? I don't know. It's pretty much like your basic obstacle course that teaches you how to do things like jump and stuff like that. I mean, again, you're not forced to at any point to partake in this training sequence. I'm pretty sure you can just, like, skip right over to the game, but yeah, I mean, it's there for the commentary's sake more than anything else. And to kind of describe basic controls right up here, Burning Ranges is actually really fluid. I mean, I think I might have cut this line out, actually, but, like, I mean, it is very similar in feel to Nights into Dreams when you're controlling Clarice and Elliot, but compared to both of those, Burning Ranges is a lot more fluid. Again, you can move a hell of a lot faster. And again, everything just feels so responsive, tight, and goddamn, this game just it controls really well, is all I'm saying. Like, I mean, again, you do still have a 90-degree D-pad camera movement, which, again, was kind of a standard of the time. This was a bit before, like, people knew how to use the secondary analog stick. But, I mean, even then, it's a lot more responsive than anything you would have found on the N64. Say that right off the bat.
Tillis, I'd like to introduce you to Big Landman. He's our most skillful ranger. He's a veteran firefighter, and you might have seen him on TV or in the newspapers.
A ranger can never be too careful. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, don't worry. You'll understand what I'm saying later.
Yeah, you might be recognizing that people didn't think very hard when making these names, like Big Landman. Again, I mean, it is Sonic Team, and they are primarily Japan-based. I think especially at this point as well, because this is right when Yuji Naka and Naoto Oshima went back to Japan. So, yeah, their American influence is a little bit, shaky. I mean, it's kind of weird, actually, because Sonic Team themselves would actually move back and forth between America and Japan, like, so often. Like, I mean, I think it was around about the time of Sonic Adventure 2, they went back to the US, I think around, San Francisco. Then around 2008, I think a little bit before Sonic Unleashed was in development, they then went back to Japan. And now I think, as of, like, 2016, or maybe a bit after Sonic Forces, they then went back to the US again. It's a bit buggery, and to be honest, I really don't know. but, yeah. And if you're wondering why I'm not bothering to describe more of the gameplay, well, we'll figure that out during the levels. In the meantime, I'm just sort of philophilizing as they talk about basic shit that I will be informing you about.
Some doors can be opened this way.
Again, like, I mean, I'm only really going to be staying silent for very specific cutscenes, where we introduce our team members. But again, to kind of detail this a little bit more, like, I mean, you get bits and pieces of details on some. Like, I mean, in the review, I already mentioned that the manual does have heavy details for the likes of Sho and Tillis, at least in regards to what their motivations for being a Burning Ranger is like. You get a little bit more with Big, both in his, like, visual character design and, you know, the fact that he's a veteran firefighter, and I guess the senior-most member of the team. You don't really get too much detail on Chris and Reed, but I don't know, I guess maybe something a sequel would have kind of elucidated on. I mean, at least in regards to Reed, like, I mean, he does seem to have a bit of experience on his back, and I guess maybe he seems to have a bit more of a sterner attitude towards things, because there is actually one cutscene in a Sho's playthrough that kind of shows him being a bit disapproving, or at least not willing to show that he cares in that typical anime kind of way.
Tillis, meet Sho. He's a new recruit and our newest member.
Hi, I'm Sho, I'm a Barney. Man, I am psyched! Becoming a Burning Ranger is way cool! Let's do it!
Which, I mean, given the sampling of the dude's personality you can see here, you can kind of see in that whole typical, like, yeah, this is gonna be groovy, dude, way cool, got a jelly and jam time, got a juice, kids! So yeah, you can see why Reed would be a little bit more, take this job seriously, you fucking numpty. But yeah, as for Chris, gonna have to re-look up some details in the manual on that one. Well, the online manual. Again, don't own the game. Because I'm indulging a bit of yar-har fiddle-dee-dee. But again, this scene is also pretty much getting you to brass tacks on your main enemy, fire. The most deadliest thing to man. And I'm not even saying that jokingly, really. But again, there is actually one distinction I forgot to mention in the review, again, between single shots and burst shots. Again, you want to use single shots to take out a lot of these fires, mainly because doing so will grant you crystals, whereas if you use a massive burst shot, then again, that pretty much destroys the crystals, and as such, you're not going to be getting any sort of reward for it. And crystals are rather necessary, as we'll be seeing in the next segment over here, because you need crystals not only to act as your health system in a similar vein to the Sonic series, but in turn you also need them to transport survivors. So again, if you don't have enough crystals to transport survivors, you are basically kind of a bit shit as a Burning Ranger, and you won't be, well, getting a very good rank. And also you're going to be letting people die, so yeah, you're going to be having that on your conscience. Adorable little Tillis.
Laser blasts are extremely powerful, but remember crystals can
but again, like, I mean, the pulse lasers themselves are pretty much just meant to be, well, again, an example of them being futuristic firefighters. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure, well, again, I don't really know for certain because there isn't really much on the Burning Rangers universe outside of what we see in the game, but yeah, I'd imagine that this is probably very basic, like, I mean, at absolute best, just a sort of dinky little blaster rifle, compared to what, you know, you'd probably see armed with the police force, or, you know, the military of the Burning Rangers universe. We never really get to see any of that, which is kind of a shame. I would have loved to have seen what this universe really could have beheld, which is probably going to be a running statement throughout the entire commentary because of the fact that, well, I love this game, but unfortunately, it was left in the annals of history, and unlike Knights, which at the very least got, you know, Journey of Dreams for the Nintendo Wii, and even fucking, like, shit like fucking Monkey Ball, or, you know, even Rystar, I think, who at least got a cameo in, SEGA All-Stars Racing. Nothing but, well, you know what, I tell a lie. There was actually a stage in, I think it might have been All-Stars Racing Transformed that had, like, a Burning Rangers themed stage. But yeah, apart from that, nothing. So, whack. By the way, that body over there isn't actually a person. I'm pretty sure it's meant to be a training dummy, but, they just reused a character model, because fuck it. I mean, I guess they probably didn't have the rights to use the crash test dummies, so... But yeah, they're pretty much just explaining how you transmit survivors, so just run over to them and, save the day! I mean, as I mentioned in the review, it would have actually been quite interesting to see, like, other rescue services, like, I mean, how hospital or ambulance crews would have interacted in this world. I don't know, like, I mean, if not a sequel to Burning Rangers, then maybe something set in the same universe, like, maybe not something in the vein of Trauma Center or whatever, but, like, ambulance rescue crews or something rather. I mean, we had virtual cops, so why not?
Chris? We've got an emergency signal. Burning Rangers, let's go.
Roger!
Distress to all Rangers. The energy core temperature is reaching dangerous levels. Reports confirm that workers are still trapped inside. Rangers report to the emergency staging area for immediate transport. Show and Big, take point and contain the spread of the fire for the rescue team.
Roger.
Tillis and Reed, proceed to the control room located underground in basement level number 1.
By the way, I just want to point out before anything else happens that Sonic Adventure 2 completely stole that opening. And another thing that I'm probably going to end up doing for lack of anything else to say is pointing out, like, how much of Sonic Adventure 2's action-oriented DNA that it got inherited from Burning Rangers. Like, I mean, again, you could obviously postulate that the mech-based gameplay from Tails and Eggman was, well, Gamma obviously, was taken from Burning Rangers itself, and I'd argue done a little bit less goodly than it was here, but then again, this is the core gameplay rather than just side gameplay for whatever else, but I don't know. There just seems to be like a lot of little things that Sonic Adventure 2 took as part of its design, at least in regards to the shooting stages, that Burning Rangers kind of, well, gave to it, which is quite odd. But in any case, I'm getting a bit off topic. Stage 1, Fallen Memory. And all the stages are pretty much named after, like, very anime-esque episode titles. Like, not in the same vein as, like, a Waku Waku Burning Rangers to the Rescue, whatever else. It's given more so that, like, 90s Englishy translation of, okay, let's try and make this sound mystical and cool. Hence, Fallen Memory. Not exactly sure why it's fallen, because it has nothing to do with what's going on. But in any case, we need to find out the cause of the system's breakdown. Obviously, it was to do with a flower, a giant fire-breathing flower that's causing the mayhem and havoc all across the facility. So basically, we've got to rescue survivors and put out some fires. Again, we can finally discuss the game now. Well, basically, keep the limit down, as you can see here. It's pretty much going to progress up from 0 to 20 to 30, no, 20 to 40 to 60 to 80%. And make sure you keep the limit down, otherwise explosions are going to be aplenty. Make sure it doesn't reach 100%, otherwise you are going to be pretty, up shit creek, because there's going to be explosions everywhere and you're going to run. By the way, again, a bit of an unconfirmed sort of thing, but I believe, like, for a proposed sequel to Burning Rangers, they were initially going to be toying with the idea of what would happen if the entire infrastructure went up in smoke. I don't know what sort of component that would have played into a Burning Rangers 2 or anything. I guess maybe if it reached 100%, then the entire building would have burned down, and I guess maybe would have had like a story effect kind of thing. Like I guess maybe in a similar vein to like Shadow the Hedgehog or something, where, again, you fail your missions and then you get sent down a darker pathway or something, or like go for a more like tragic ending. I don't know, would have been interesting to see, but sadly no dice. And again, as you can probably hear beneath my waffling commentary, yes indeed, this is also one of the first Sonic Team games to not only include voice acting, but also have a more dynamic and lively world, because again, you're hearing characters talk during the cutscene, and again, like, this isn't done in the fucking Sonic Heroes way of like, oh, Tails, press the A button to jump. No, like, I mean, you're actually having characters discuss what they're doing and have it be, like, relevant to the current situation and story in the level. And then again, it's, like, very interesting to see how well Sonic Team nailed it here, but kind of fucked it up. Well, not necessarily fucked it up, per se, but, like, just sort of, I don't know, like, handled it a little bit more shakily in, like, future games. Well, again, and I say future games, but I mean specifically Sonic games, because that's the only thing they're really known for, and the only thing they're really judged on. Because, like, I mean, I don't think Knights or even Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg, now that I think about it, really had very like, at least very dialogue-heavy kind of games. Like, I mean, I think Billy Hatcher was a little bit more, like, sounds and grunts, and Knights was very much like an esoteric dream kind of thing. At the very least for the first game, but, again, I stay my tongue on that. I don't know. Like, I mean, again, Burning Rangers, like, does this to a pretty reasonable effect, a little bit more ahead of its time than most games of its era, but I don't know. It feels very naturalistic for the time, and, well, again, I kind of appreciate it for that, because it's done very naturally. And something I didn't mention during the development history, I believe Sonic Team themselves actually consulted like a lot of Japanese firefighters to get inspiration for how these operations are usually set up and how to make it at least relatively authentic given the framework, so that they could adequately, you know, portray what it was like to be a day in the life of a firefighter, which I think also had an unintentional effect on its storytelling, because again, as I mentioned in the review, and as you probably saw right at the cutscene, is that, yeah, there's no real overarching villain to Burning Rangers. There's no, like, organization of arsonists, there's no criminal empire that the Burning Rangers have to take down. it's pretty much just, you know, emergency response. Something's going on, Burning Rangers have to go off and rescue them. And, bada bing, they do the thing, really. I mean, there is some sort of villainous presence coming in Mission 3 and 4, but again, as you're seeing right here, this is pretty much the brass tacks. Like, I mean, they'll run in, try and put out some fires, they'll have situations specific to each level. In the case of the energy plant level, because we're in an energy plant, oh no, the lights have gone out because energy is going haywire, so now we have to locate a switch, turn the lights back on and restore powers to the door to, you know, make tracks throughout the level. Which then also brings us to another part of the game's unique selling point, the audio navigation system. Basically, press the Z button and, again, you can pretty much have Chris navigate you throughout the levels, you know, negating the need for a map system. I have actually heard a bit of criticism for this, actually. Some people deciding that, again, it's a bit too obtuse, but again, it's not impenetrable, I'll say this much. Like, I mean, again, it requires you to kind of sit still and listen for a little bit, so again, don't stumble around dick first, you know, trying to navigate or anything. I mean, Chris might need to, you know, recalibrate her maps here and there, but usually if you have a good degree of navigation skills, you should be able to, you know, navigate your way around just fine. And again, if you need that little bit of extra help, Chris will be right there to guide you home this Christmas, except not Christmas, because it's after Christmas. At least it is for me. Like, I mean, the time of recording, it's pretty much, kind of between Boxing Day and New Year's at this point, so, yes. Kurt Eisler, whatever. I mean, I would normally leave in some of the in-level dialogues for, like, the teleporting away things, but again, it's pretty much like a Spyro the Dragon case of, thank you for releasing me, and, yeah, coordinate set and all that kind of thing. I will say, though, like, I mean, vestigial as it is, like, they did program a fair few reactions from, like, both civilians and, the reactions some of the Burning Rangers give. I pointed out a few specific examples in the review, but yeah, I kind of like that detail. It makes every rescue feel at least a bit more unique than just having the one line of, well, again, as I pointed out from Spyro 1, thank you for releasing me. But in any case, I say as I wait for my editor to stop lagging. Yeah, to talk about basic mechanics as well, in terms of what you could do as a Burning Ranger. Again, like, not only are you finding switches, but again, you can also basically jump around, flip about. And again, like, this kind of easily lends it into you using your thruster pack. Like, I mean, again, you can pretty much flip jump out of the way of explosions, you can blast through them. And again, like, I mean, you might think that this would seem like a little bit more higgledy-piggledy than it is, but again, you give an appropriate sound cues, like, I don't know, like, the game just effortlessly teaches you how to jump out of the way and avoid shit, and it's, I don't know, this game just weaves itself in very naturally. I mean, obviously you have the earlier training sequence to warn you, but excuse me. Even if you're just jumping into the game right then and there, like, I mean, all the controls just feel very natural to pull off, and, like, I mean, it's mechanically refined, but, again, like, really simple and arcadey in that traditional SEGA style, so I don't know, there's a lot about this game that's just really exciting, but then again, that does also lead into the double-edged sword that you only have 4 missions to do, and,
Okay, just relax. I'm here to save you.
oh, he's here to save me?
Coordinates set.
And I also kind of feel like they either borrow these names from, like, famous actors or whatever, or just, like, looked up names in like, an American phone book or something, because, yeah, Anne Connery. Wonder if she's related to that, you know, that, Sean Connery. The guy who played James Bond. Well, I guess we ain't gonna knows now, because, he has unfortunately passed away. Rest in peace, Mr. Connery. But on that note, I am Solidus-Skully, keeping new metal, and next time on Burning Rangers, we'll continue our walk through the energy plant. Bye-bye.
Doctor! Doctor!
Are you okay? I'm here to help you. Are there any survivors in there?
The doc just went in there.
Okay, lead him to me. Don't worry.
Confirming the transport coordinates. Begin transport. Transport confirmed. Tillis, get down there immediately.
Roger.